who gives a damn what people think? People are always going to think and say something. So I think what I would tell my younger self is, who cares? Now, I do think it's easier for me to say that because that part got fed and that little mountain girl from Kentucky that wanted to prove something to the world got to do it. But I think beyond anything, I proved what I needed to myself.
We're so very fortunate to have three phenomenal partners of the podcast. Play, Rock Daisy, and Output are all companies that I've worked with for many years and fully endorse. Make sure that you support them when you can, or let them know when you see them how much you appreciate them being part of this podcast. Hey guys, welcome back to the CEO Strength Coach podcast. I'm your host, Ron McKeefery, and super excited about this one. Candice, I've known for a long time. We've had the opportunity to speak at clinics together. We've hung out together. Just respect her so much. She's a badass strength coach, but she's also literally a badass. She's a boxer. She's a mom. She's a business owner. She does just about everything. Candice, super excited that you're here. Appreciate you being here.
No, I'm excited. I've been having this on my calendar and just counting down the days. So I'm excited. Let's get started.
Well, we're going to talk. We want this to be an entrepreneur episode. And again, the framework, technician, manager, entrepreneur. And I think, again, most people go through those stages in their career like that. They go, they focus stage by stage and you eventually get there. But the reality is that you got to build those things simultaneously if you really want to stay in this career. And you've done that throughout your career. And so I want to dig in just at what point, and you own, Walls Athletic Performance, is out. What's the name of the
Walls Performance? Yeah.
Walls Performance works in conjunction with your role as the head strength coach at Mullen High School. Talk about at what point in your career did you decide there has to be more than just the weight room?
I think it's when I went to conference a couple years back. I just made the switch over to high school. I'd moved to Colorado. It was during the pandemic. I was going through a roller coaster of emotions of what did I just do leaving the college setting after 15 plus years? What are people going to think of me? How am I going to make it? If I ever decide to shift back in professionally or in college, what will happen? It was a whole lot of things. And it was wild because in that first year, I took a couple interviews. There was a couple professionally at colleges. And for some reason, God just stuck me and was like, no, you're not leaving. Whatever lesson I brought you here to learn, you're going to learn that, which was a hard pill to swallow. Couple therapy session later, I was like, okay, I'm going to embrace and be where my feet are. And I think during that moment when I accepted, I'm going to be here is when I went to conference and I ran into Benny Wiley and he was talking and I'd introduced him to one of the staff members I brought. And somehow the conversation came up about making sure you have different revenue streams. And of course, these are conversations I've heard Roof and Cause and everybody talk about and you. But it didn't hit me until a moment to where I was like, wow, I actually have an opportunity where I'm at to create something like that. And I have time. So I started thinking on it. And of course, I was like, oh, I'll get a laundromat. I'll do this. And I'm like, Candice, just do what you know. You need to go start a laundromat. Calm down. And then I had a wedding coming up. So that was even more incentive. It was like, okay, got to pay for a wedding. Benny Wiley dropped some knowledge on me. Now let's go home and create something. And some parents had talked about, we have middle school kids that would love to be trained. Our head football coach's daughter plays soccer. And he's like, hey, Rush Soccer is looking for, a coach to contract out with. So I just kind of grasped the opportunities that had been there right in front of me. But because I kind of had blinders on and I was still like, no, just strength coach of teams. I'm a robot. I kind of never ventured out for. So I think embracing where my feet were, listening to some people's advice that people have been talking about for years, I kind of just said, okay, let's go. And I dove straight in and we did a middle school group. I started training the Rush Soccer girls. A year later, I was like, you know what? Let's do a mom's group, which for some reason, Ron, I don't know why I associated that with more personal trainer mentality of it's beneath me. And it's not. It's been the wildest and coolest group that we've started. And now these moms are coming in training. So when their kids go home to complain, they're like, I know, Coach Walls, stop. But beyond that, you're giving some of these women, we have a woman in her 70s that's still full-time nursing. You're giving her more time with her grandkids. She's being able to sit down, stand up. She went to the doctor and they're like, your bone density went up. This is insane. So it's those life-changing moments. 2 days ago, we had a lady come in. She had had a massive heart attack, open heart surgery. She was nervous. She works in our business department. And I was like, come in and just try it out. There's like 10 women there. She got to fellowship with them. She came in after and she was like, face was lit up. And I'm like, wow, this is some next level, different stuff I would have never experienced if I would have stayed in the college realm. Um, and now she gets to go home and, feel better about herself. So it's just kind of full circle moment. I had to let my ego die a little bit, I guess. And
Yeah.
then not only has it helped me personally, but financially, it's blossomed and organically grown to where not only does it benefit me, but my staff members. Like we have GAs that can make some extra money. We have assistants that made extra money off of it. So it's just been really neat to be present and allow that to just kind of happen.
Yeah, you ended with what I wanted to go where I wanted to go next with is the pride piece, right? Because
Mhm.
like you and I are and people that work at the level that we worked at, like you're wired to be like the best. You're wired to work with the best. You're wired to train, and be the best. And that's a hard to get to flip that mentality of, kind of associating with the athlete you're working with the logo that you have, all those types of things like that.
Mhm.
I'll be the first to admit it that was the chase for me. Like I wanted to be in the NFL. That was it, and then I wanted the notoriety and the things that came with being at those places. Like I sought that out, but at the end of the day, like you're in this business to help people, and you got to kind of come to that reconciliation. And I tell people all the time, like if I had it to do all over again, with don't wanting to be the family man that I wanted to be the to have this ability that I have and those sorts of things, like I probably would have gone the high school route and fed my ego by speaking and writing and
Mhm.
doing some of these other things. But how were you able to kind of put that to the side, or what would you tell your younger self
Hmm.
on how to get past that, or even if you need to go down that route?
Who cares what people think? I saw something on Instagram the other day, showed this woman that was aging, and it's like they judge her for aging. And it showed another woman that's older but has work done. They judge her because she doesn't look like she's aging. Shows another lady, oh, they judge her because she's young but she looks old. And it went through all these women. And finally, it's like, who gives a damn what people think? People are always going to think and say something. So I think what I would tell my younger self is, who cares? Now, I do think it's easier for me to say that because I did get to coach. We were ranked number one at one point. I got to coach and win the Big 12. I got to be part of Olympians. Like I did get to check that off. So I think because that part got fed and that little mountain girl from Kentucky that wanted to prove something to the world got to do it. But I think beyond anything, I proved what I needed to myself. And I'm not saying I wouldn't ever want to go back into college, and I've never worked pro. So that's definitely something that's been in my mind. So it's not to say I wouldn't ever want to shift and do that. But for my current state, I would just be like, just be present where you're at. Who cares what people think? And things will happen the way they're supposed to. I'm a very firm believer in that. Like, me being able to adjust to come here, I finally was in a stable enough environment that I got married. I was in another environment where I'm like, you know what? Like I am older, but let's have a kid. Why not do that piece that I know I wanted to do, that I never allowed myself an opportunity to do because I was too busy. And I'm not saying you can't do both. Tons of women do, but I'm a lot like you where I just put my head down and I grinded out and then I looked up and I was like, wow, my personal life is suffering from this. But of course, I came to the high school level and a lot of people were like, Candice, I bet you have tons of time off. I'm like, actually, I work probably more now than I did. But I think my fulfillment is different. I get to bring my dog, which is actually laying taking a nap over here. He comes to work with me and hangs out with the kids. Or do you have your dog underneath?
Right here.
So he gets to come. I get to bring my son on Saturdays. We can do our, after game football lift. My husband comes and lifts. Like there's just more opportunities for it. And the school that I work at, I mean, they let us, for the most part, do what we want as long as, we keep taking care of the kids. So I think just the environment in general has fostered such a great experience for me. But yeah, I don't know. Just tell your younger self or just anybody out there listening, like, who gives a damn what somebody thinks? Like, who cares? And don't get me wrong, the logo chasing and all of that, that's great in your 20s, I think, but I think you have to mature and evolve. And like I said earlier, let your ego die. And then what's crazy is like like amazing opportunities will pop up. Like I was talking to you earlier about some of the football guys we get to coach. Like one kid's going to Michigan, another has 10 other Power 4 offers. I've got a girl that just got offered from Nebraska. So I just get to be on the other side of helping build these athletes. So when they get to you guys, they're a little more prepared at the college level. And that in itself is so rewarding because guess what? 99% of the kids I work with are just going to be our humans out in the world. So
Yeah.
let's build them to be solid and love their health and be better humans and be better young employees later or just productive people in society. And that's the other 99% of the people I get to work with. So it's just really rewarding because I wouldn't have had that if I would have stayed in college. It would have just been the one percenters you're working with.
Right.
And those 99 percenters, they work really hard. Sometimes you're just not as talented, and that's okay. They're talented in other stuff.
You said something in there that I want to bring to highlight is, because I think it is. I think there's a lot of coaches like me, like I could care less what other people thought, I
Mhm,
still do. But at the same time, it was proving to myself that I arrived at whatever level I wanted to arrive at. And that was the hardest part for me. And I do think that, to your point, I think there is some, if you're going to do something in the performance world, having and building some credibility by being at some of those places is going to help you if you decide to open up a business or those types of things. And so I think there is some of that. And the 20s is probably the time to do some of that, when you're in your 20s. But I think, as we've aged in this profession and I think what I tell young people now is to start with the end in mind. Try to reverse engineer what you really truly value. Like if you value being at your kids' soccer games and you
mhm.
want to be there, then you probably don't want to be a Power 4 football. It's probably not going to happen. And so like reverse engineering that, knowing that, like you want to be around your folks or you want to you want to have one church or you want to have, like those things. If you work backwards, then you can start to kind of say, okay, this is where I should be. Now, how can I feed my ego some other way?
Mhm.
And I think that's important. But you talked about, you working more now or you're still, you're like, oh, you got this free time. And high achievers, like you never have free time. Like high achievers that's never the case, but I think there is a lot of people, a lot of strength coaches that are in similar boats that are like, I just don't like, where do I have the time to build a business? Like I'm the busy, and strength coaches in general, they're notorious for thinking that they're the busiest people on the earth, and
The
so
fake hustle.
so how did you kind of carve out like your mom, you got your wife, you're a professional, like, and then you're going to start this side business. Like, how did you start to kind of create that time in that schedule, that busy, already busy schedule?
I think a lot of it helped out that I was able to take the personal business and mix it with the Mullen community I was already with. So it's not like I had to, because everything in Denver takes 20 to 30 minutes to get to. I didn't have to drive necessarily to another location. I worked it out with administration. I talked with facilities. I'm like, hey, Rush is already practicing on our soccer field. Technically, we don't have a team coming up after. How about we work it out so they can just come up and train? And they're like, well, logistically, as long as we're not breaking CHASA rules, which is, our high school rules for Colorado. And as long as we're following the protocol of this, like, I don't see a problem in it. And so we were able to let them use our facility. And then I didn't have to go and hire different staff that works at, the Walls Performance versus what's at Mullen. What we did is we just kind of mixed the two, which I mentioned earlier is great because financially we have 2 GAs right now at Mullen. When I first got to Mullen, it was just me and Klaus, poor thing. So many stories. There was almost not a wedding for paint when we painted the weight room for 17 hours. Ron, I looked up and we had the wrong color on the wall. And then I'm like, looks like we got to paint again. And it was silent for the next 8 hours. But it's grown in such a beautiful thing. We have 2 full-time employees. And what better way is for them to have some extra cash and have flow. So, they're able to coach groups and help out, partner up. Connor helps me with the business side of things. Then I've got these 2 GAs that can make some extra cash because they're there. So they can go coach their soccer group. And then when the soccer group's over, they come over and, change his whistle out, put a new t-shirt on. He's like, let's go, ladies. And he's out there training. And I think it's so crucial, especially for the GAs, because they just started coaching. So if they can coach this 70 and 40-year-old lady, they can go coach this 14-year-old too. So they're just being able to like fill their toolbox with so much, not only just with a few extra dollars, but with skills that they could take to any level they wanted to go to. So being able to encompass it where I was already at definitely was a huge piece for the time factor. Klaus did tell me last night, he's like, Candice, you just keep, because we're about to possibly get another softball group because there's so many clubs, right? And I'm like, dude, this will be an awesome opportunity. And he turned around in the middle of cooking. He's like, where are you going to fit this? I was like, we'll figure it out. There's like 6 of us. We can figure, we'll go to the field. He's like, I'm like, they're here on campus. We'll be fine. And he's like, Candace, don't you think you're a little maxed out? I was like, nah, we're good. But I think it's that hustle mentality that, you know, I'm a mountain girl. That's all we do is hustle. So it's just who I am. And I don't think it'll leave no matter where I go. And then my other response was, Kai can just come with me. That's our son. I'm like, he could just jump in there. Like the lady that watches him can drop him off. We'll be good. 7th grade girls love little kids. And he's like, stop. But I think because I'm a little crazy and you mix it with just the right atmosphere, it just worked out. But I think you also have to sit for a second and like you said, work backwards with what you want in your career. You have to truly lay out what you do and account for every hour of your day. Cause I promise you, I look back at my time at Baylor and UL and all these places, and there was a lot of like hustling, but some of it I feel what we do at the college level is that fake hustle. And we, watch the paint dry. We let them, we're watching the bars and I'm like, they're not moving people. So I think there's definitely times you can plug it in, even if you just decide to train someone remotely. I mean, there's so many between Team Builder and all those other things out there, so many ways that you have an extra 30. Or I don't know, stop scrolling so much. But there's just different ways I feel if you really, really wanted to level up and evolve that you could do it if you just take a second. And I think that's what it took. Like I said, first, I had to be present where I was at. Second, I had to lay out what I was doing and what my goals were for this new place I was at. And then and having the right people to help you. Cause I would love to say I did it all myself, but I didn't. I've got some stud people between Jordan and Connor and Kendrick and all the other people that's worked with me before being at Mullen. If it wasn't for them, this wouldn't have gotten built. It takes a village.
Yeah. You had a great message in there. Again, I think it's so important for young strength coaches to hear that you need to develop these time management skills, these people management skills, how to speak to leading up and leading down, because those are the things that allowed you to garner the resources to be able to do what you're doing now by, having those things. And I think again, like when you're a GA, an intern, if you're not thinking like a head strength coach, then you're never going to be a head strength coach. Like if you're not like, that was always the question I was asking is, okay, I see the head strength coach in there typing away on the computer, or he's in meetings, or he's doing this or that, or she's doing this or
Mhm.
that. And like, what are they doing? Why, and how are they being efficient with their time? And if I'm just going out there and working out and jacking around with the guys, while there's somebody else is doing the vision casting and all the paperwork and all that, like I'm not learning the skills that it's going to need to be a head strength coach, much less maybe build a business or something like that along the lines. But, you talked about the right atmosphere, but that, you kind of willed that, right? Like, it wasn't something that they just said, you can come here and you can make a side income or you can build a staff or whatever. And so talk a little bit, like give up just an overview of the business model and then how you went about kind of getting everybody on board with that.
Honestly, I think the business model idea, it all stems back from the places I've been and the mentors I've been around. I can't take credit for any of it. Somehow, some way, I got so lucky. I look back at every place I've been and who they were, and not to name drop, but good Lord, they're some of the guys that'll be the legends of the field. They just are. And I don't know why or how. And this is how I truly believe you are destined to do something in your life. Whether you're religious or you're not, I feel like we all have a purpose of why we were placed in the world. And unfortunately, some people don't get to discover that or they just fight it. And I feel like for some reason, when Corey walked into our weight room in college and he was like, you can do this for a living, for the first time ever, a light bulb went off. And I just was like, this is what I want to do. And I would think I was 19. And from there, between going to Ethan Reeve, like Coach Madden, Donnie, like Cause, like all of them, like taking little pieces from every place I was at allowed me to create this model, and it allowed me to do it so I don't wanna say effortlessly, because it was not a lot of work that went into it, but it just seemed so natural. It's just who I was because of what those amazing humans had built and just instilled in me throughout the years. And one of the things was make sure the place you're going, you're interviewing them as well. So before I even took this job, there were even things that I think I was trying to set up parameters to get out of going. I was like, okay, well, if they can do this, this, and this, I'll go. And then they were like, okay. It's like, crap. I'm like, okay, well, they do this, and this. And then they were like, okay. And even when I got here, I went and I reported to our president of the school. And I was like, okay, well, I want this, this, and this. He's like, okay. I'm like, dear God, like, okay, okay, okay. And so being in an atmosphere that they allowed me to have it, the next step was, well, let's do what I've done at every other place or I've seen done. And it's like, let's work really hard. Let's find a way to get some funds and then we'll get the people in here. And if I can't give them funds, heck, I'm going to open up my extra bedroom 2 months before my wedding and I'm going to have somebody come and stay. And that's how I'll pay them. I'll give them food, I'll give them shelter, and I'll try to get them some money, even if I'm taking it out of my own pocket. And that's literally how it started, Ron, is like, how can I hustle? How can I get the right people in here? And then through that, one thing I learned at Baylor is like, by doing the right thing, the right people see it and then they want to invest in you. So I think by doing those things with given nothing, it allowed them to be like, you know what, we will give you a little bit more. And then, I mean, the person I let stay in our house was Jordan Spears. She's been with me for 4 years now. I don't know if you remember the merge. We did a virtual
Yeah.
internship during the
Yeah.
pandemic. I noticed right now somebody's doing it in the NSCA advertised it and the Strength Coach Network. Like, I think that is so amazing that they're still doing that model. It makes me really happy, but that can be a whole different conversation. But through this, Jordan was on that. And so I remember calling her and asking her to come in. And that's literally, and now she's been here with me 4 years and she's an assistant director and she runs our fundraising department. So it's just been neat how all of it kind of pieced together because of all my other experiences. But the model just started with work really hard, get people here, and then the rest will take care of itself. And it, by getting the right people here that trusted me, and by, like I said, taking my own money and being like, I'm going to pay for breakfast. I'm going to make sure she has lunch, or I'm going to let her live in my house rent free, kept her here. And the next part was like, admin saw I was doing that and was like, well, dude, Jordan's amazing. Let's put her on for subbing too. So she was able to make money that way. And then they created a spot for our other assistant. Well, we'll put him half teaching, half coaching, and we'll give him a full-time salary. So it organically grew into this thing to where then 3 years later, they're like, you know what you do is so important to get people in this door. We're going to cover both salaries. They don't have to teach. They can just be strength coaches. And then utilizing my resources around me, like Klaus is at the Nuggets. Well, they have a dietitian there. I would love to get her in here. We have some extra money from fundraising that Jordan's raised because now she has the capacity to do that because she's full time. Why don't I just contract her out and have her come in like once a week to talk to people? And then now we have a dietitian. You know what I mean? So it was just by getting people in the right spots and making sure their basic needs were taken care of, then it allowed them to get creative. So then they could create more opportunities and it didn't have to just come from me. Because one thing I haven't spoke about is for Mullen, we do bingo every Friday night. It's wild. Oh, yeah. We have a bingo session. Jordan heads it up. She's our bingo manager. Our GAs, one's a caller, one runs the pickle bar. Didn't even know there's a thing called a pickle bar. And it brings us in about 6 figures every year.
Wow.
And through that, now we are able to have a dietitian contracted out. We have a mental performance specialist contracted out. We also have a recovery specialist, which is our chemistry teacher that I just so happen to coach both her kids. And so through that model, because I gave Jordan, or I didn't, the school and all of our hard work, were able to give her a full-time job. She was like, hey, how about we try this? And Ron, I fought her. I was like, this is so stupid. We are not doing bingo. She's like, Candice, hear me out. I was like, fine, you're going to head it up if we do this. And it has been so successful. Our kids come and volunteer. Each team has to volunteer for a night, Ron. And so then they get community service hours out of it. They get to interact and, get to learn about money and all of this stuff. I don't know. It's kind of crazy,
Wow,
but it brings us in money. And you would think like, oh, I can't believe they have to do that. I'm like, It's 6 hours out of their week. That's their
Right.
Friday. They teach 2 groups and then they go and do that. So it's kinda neat how we've been able to make that happen. But yeah, it's just wild how, like I said, I was present and it organically just grew by working really hard and taking
Yeah, I think that, I mean, it's crazy you say bingo. My wife is going to bingo tonight. I'm like, what are you doing?
I wonder what group's hosting.
I have no idea, but I'm like, all right, do whatever you want to do. But you kind of go back to like, the vision. I think whenever you take over a program or, because there's always a lack of resources and it takes
Mhm.
a visionary, somebody that can cast the vision for what it could look like. And then this is what I would always tell people when they would say, I don't have enough staff. I'm like, okay, we'll just put interns in those spots, give them responsibility. And
Yep.
then all of a sudden they gain advocates by doing a good job. And it's exactly what you did with your business and with the school. And then it's identifying good people, and giving them the ability to flourish and let their talent shine through and all that. When we're talking like the business model, like how are you, for somebody that wants to maybe do something similar at the place that they're at, like
Mhm.
from what I've gathered, you have maybe a parents group or a women's group. You have maybe a club team or something like that that contracts in. What are some of the opportunities that people could be looking to bring in, and like what kind of resources, money, that kind of stuff could that be for people?
Oh my gosh, it could be life changing. Like right now, I know I'm able to be contracted out through Rush, but it came with who you know. I think it simply comes down any job that I got in the strength world wasn't because I sent a resume in. I think this one was the first place I ever had to send a resume in to get a job. Everywhere else is who you know. And I think when it comes to the personal sector or like starting your own business, it comes to that. Like I said, Rush happened because our head football coach's daughter played and he had such a great
Rush is a soccer
experience.
team.
Rush is a club soccer team.
Yeah, gotcha.
And because I had a football and I had such a great relationship with him, he's like, "Of course, I love how you train my daughters on the side on a Saturday. Like, this is what we should do." So I think the biggest thing is wherever you're at, whether at a college, you're in wherever, get to know people because there may be a football coach, a softball coach, a basketball coach that has kids. And when they have kids, they probably play a sport. And if they play a sport, most of the time, I would bet $1,000 that it's some club related affiliate because that's what's out there right now. A lot of kids don't even play for their schools. They play for clubs or organizations. And once you get your foot in that door, it doesn't even have to be being slimy sales pitch. It could just be like, "Hey, I'd love to go check out a game," or "Hey, can you just make an introduction for me?" And then your people skills come in. And this is where I attribute, all the junior days and the recruiting that I did at the college level for working now. Because I know everything you do is recruiting, whether you're dating someone, whether you're working for someone, friendships, it's recruiting. How do you sell yourself so someone wants to buy in and invest in you? And it's taken some years, and I know in my 20s, like, thank God I was around literally, Cause was probably the best recruiter I have ever seen in my life. To this day, some of the talks he's done and things he's done, I'm just like, "One day, maybe I'll get there." But I think all of those moments I was able to transfer when it came recruiting for my business. Or like we talked about earlier, recruiting the right people to be here because I'm putting lipstick on a pig. "Hey, come live in my spare bedroom. Let me give you $500 and you're gonna coach your butt off and be exhausted, but you're gonna learn a lot." Like, you have to and I think because of all the experience I had in resume, it helps bring that in. But at the end of the day, when they get there, you also have to be a really damn good person. So I think when it comes to if you want to start a business model, look around at where you're at. Research if you specialize in soccer, look up the clubs around. If it's basketball, look up those. And then honestly, before you do any of that, go get yourself insured. If you're gonna have and I didn't know any of this stuff. Luckily, I had reached out to someone, which was actually one of the football coach's wives, that she's an accountant, does a bunch of stuff. She heard about what I was doing, and I can't believe the first year I was not insured, Ron. I am so dumb. Thank God nobody got hurt. But she's like, "Candice, you have this and this and this. You don't even have a website." And I'm like, everything happens naturally. Why would I force it? I was really leaning into that. And she's like, "Grow up. This is what we have to do." And the first thing she did is like, we got an LLC. So I've got that established. I went and got a business bank account. Wasn't doing that. went and got a website started. And it sounds like a lot, but it's actually not that much. It comes down to just schedule out 30 minutes of your day to do this task. And then the next day, 30 minutes to do this, because it's better than the lawsuit that they come with it. God forbid if you hurt Susie and mom gets really mad because parents, they're mama
Yeah.
bears.
Yeah.
And I definitely, it took me a while to learn that. But definitely got to get yourself insured, get an LLC, get a business bank account, talk to other people in our field that have started this. And but beyond anything, go be a people person and just go talk to people around you. The worst thing they're going to do is like, I'm not interested, or they don't call you back. Was that not the start of our internship? How many emails or things did you send out to people and nobody ever reached back out? Like, as an intern, you should rule at getting rejected. So this is no different. And then when one sticks, like, all it takes is word of mouth. It's wildfire. You treat someone's kid well and they get a little bit of success out of it, you're going to get a second one. You're going to get a third one. And then everybody's going to want to be a piece of that. But I think because of the success we had at Mullen and what people saw that we were growing, and knock on wood, our injury rates went down. Everything at the high school level outside of season is voluntary, but you're telling me we still have 300 kids rolling in a day. Like, people saw that and they wanted to be part of that. So that helped kind of sell that business model. Plus, I think, especially on the soccer side of things, when I was in college, like, I never played soccer, but I coached the heck out of it through my entire career. So it naturally made sense to lean into kind of that realm when it came to the personal side of things.
Yeah.
But the biggest piece of advice is call somebody that's done it. Don't try to reinvent the wheel, or you're going to be a dummy like me that went a whole year not being insured. And thank God I didn't get sued.
Well, you actually, again, you led right into where I was going with it, because I think a lot of people are intimidated by the business side of things, and and starting a business from scratch and all that is just massive undertaking. And I should have gone to business school, or I should have done this, that, or the other. And
Mhm.
when you're talking an LLC, you can create on Zen Business in an hour. You can, your insurance, you just find an insurance agent and they give you a rate, and what you said, I think, is probably the most important thing is the thing that we do have in athletics is we have a wide network of people that we can tap into, and somebody's done it, and somebody's probably
Mhm.
even doing the exact same business, maybe just somewhere else. And that's just proof that it's working somewhere, and you can kind of do it in your own way. But you mentioned LLC, insurance, and accountant, those types of things. What are some other things that you feel like are important for somebody that's wanting to start their own business to kind of make sure they have in line before they kind of go down that route?
Know how to budget, because you're gonna all of a sudden have an influx of cash that maybe you weren't used to having, and especially in my case, we have to pay staff members. Well, then the other crazy thing that happens at the end of every year is taxes. So then you have to file those and you have to pay those, and they're not cheap because guess what? You're getting all this money income. And Venmo, for example, if somebody wants to pay you your Venmo, guess what happens? Venmo takes a piece out of it and you still have to pay taxes on it. So know and have a right accountant. And maybe your business is really small. Maybe you are just having a couple of clients remotely and you don't want to do that. Like, there's so many online things that can do your books for you. Or, I mean, I think as a strength coach, we're all kings and queens of Excel. Do a simple spreadsheet. And I think because, and I'm even thinking about going back to get an MBA. That's how much this has kind of like sparked and fired me up. And I realized, which is funny, I used to hate math, but it works so well now. But because Coach Roof put me in charge of helping him budget, and I remember one time I walked in, I got paper towels from Walmart or something. Dude, I don't know where that receipt was. Candace, where's the receipt? Bro, I don't know. Like, it was $5, Roof. Everything has to be accounted for. Okay. And he's like, go back to Walmart, tell them the time and the date that you were at, and they'll pull that receipt. I was like, this man is nutty. I am not going back to pull that receipt. Well, of course I did, because I did anything Coach Roof asked me to do. But I was thinking it. But now, fast forward 15 years later, 10 years, I'm like looking at our GAs. What do you mean you don't have the receipt for those bananas? Go back. You can pull it, because all those things matter. Because at the end of the day, especially when you have your own business, you have to pay for all of that. And if not, you have to find a way to write it off. And there's all sorts of ways that you can write that off. And there were different things like, I made this money. I paid all these people this money. I didn't realize how, when you account for paying for someone, how technically you don't pay taxes on that. It's technically a right. There's all these different things that, thank God, I had a great accountant that sat down with me, but then guess what you also have to do, Ryan? You have to pay the accountant.
That's right.
So there's all these different fees and things that are going on that I just didn't realize the extent of it. So if you don't know how to manage your money and all of a sudden you just went and bought a new pair of like Jordans with it, or you went and got new rims for your car because you're like, oh, I have this money now, like chill out.
Yeah.
Don't spend that money on the protein. Still budget yourself and realize there's things that you have to account for that we don't have to when you get that salary check from your university. You just log it at the end of the year and you're good. So it's literally, and maybe that sounds, especially if a business person is listening to this, they're like, that's common knowledge. Well, not for us that has never had to do it.
Well, again, strength coaches is what I talk about when I talk about kind of managing time, people, and resources. Is we didn't have those classes, and that wasn't something that you naturally had to do until got thrown in that position, and then you either sunk or you swum, you know.
Hmm.
And the people that are constant lifelong learners can adapt, and that's what you're doing. I would tell you that I don't think you need to go get an MBA because I think you can learn anything now, through the YouTube.
100%. I just think I
Yeah,
wanted to say I have my MBA, if I'm being
yeah.
honest. It's that little ego part. Like, I can go get an MBA. 2 years, I'll get it done in a year and a half. And once again, Klaus was like, cooking, when do you have time to do
Or you're gonna
this?
exactly.
Yeah.
But, you bring up a great point because I think, one thing that I would always tell staff, was it's not just about me bringing money to you, but it's also you plugging leaks on where money's going out, And so,
Hmm.
like, you opening up your home to essentially an employee, that's writable. If you got an LLC, you can write that off
Hmm.
an office or rent that she's paying to the business,
Hmm.
whatever. So, like, you can start to kind of, create these things, your continued education, your drive to and from some things, all those types of things start to become business expenses and you can manage your money better. And that's a lesson that, the sooner you're going to learn it at some point, either the hard way or through your own self education. But like the sooner that you learn it, the better off you're going to be, and that's definitely an important lesson. That was gonna be my next question is what entrepreneurial lesson have you learned by having your business that's actually made you a better strength coach?
Man, so many. Hold on. Which one do I want to choose? No, I'm just kidding. I think the first piece is, I don't know if it's a lesson or a reminder. You can't be somewhere all the time. You have to learn to trust people. And I have such an issue with trusting people, not in the sense of if you're a good human, but am I going to let you into the space that I've created? Because I feel like I'm very good at setting boundaries. Like, here's my boundary. This is what I allow. This is what I won't. And I've firmly believed that you learn that in your 30s, especially, but you created this world and who are you going to let in it? Who are you going to, because it could be super impactful. So I think for a business is being able to relax for a second, realize that I trusted to hire this person and I don't always have to be there, because that's the true business owner is, can you be building your business, making money, but not have to be present? And I think that was the piece that's so hard for us coaches because we are the business, the way we coach, the way we do this, the way we do that. And one of the things that, I wrote into one of our contracts is I do not have to be present, because that was one of the things that happened is, well, we hired you. I'm like, no, you hired my company. Point blank. There's not six of me. I can't be here every time. And there was some hard conversations that had to happen of like, I know you want me to coach you, but bro, that would be 24 hours in a day plus. And I'm like, it just can't happen. So I'm going to hire someone that I trust with my life, that I ensure that will be here, that will take care of you. Now, I'll still come, but I think that's the biggest piece is being able to step away and trust the people you hire. Um, and that goes even into like the Mullen situation. And I think the more that people can learn to do that and they stop micromanaging, you'll take some of your anxiety down. You'll be able to breathe a little bit. And then you're also helping grow the next generation. Like we talked about it earlier, how we all, as we get older in this field, we step into new roles. And I can't even remember who told me, but one time somebody said, maybe it was Coach Madden. You always have to keep evolving because then it creates more opportunities for people below you. If you can continue to stay in the same spot, there'll be nothing for anyone else. And there's nothing wrong for those people that have stayed in the same spot for 20 years. But personally, I think you have to keep moving so then those younger people can come in. But then you also have to trust them to do that job. You have to trust that what you instilled in them will make them successful. And if they fell and fall on their face, isn't that coaching 101? They're
Right.
supposed to mess up. You're supposed to help them adjust it, and then you move on. And then guess what happens? Probably another mistake, hopefully not the same one. And that shows if you're a great coach or not. And I firmly believe that when you're leading people and you're developing them. And I think my business model, because I and Klaus had talked to me about it, like, remember, you need to make money and not have to be there. And I was like, no, I have to be there. They're doing this. Like, it's Wall's Performance, it's my name. And finally, I had to realize, no, like, you let this girl live in your home. She is a great human being. You've known her for 4 years. Honestly, not to plug her, but good Lord, she could go be a director somewhere right now, I believe, at the Power Four level, Ron.
Sure.
She's that good. And so, knowing that and saying that all the time, I had to entrust her to go do that. And it's been crazy watching her blossom into even a better coach and leader because of that. So it's just, I don't know, it's kind of neat. And I would say that's the biggest piece because then everything else falls into line from that. Uh,
Great.
and not making it about yourself because it's not.
Which is hard to do when your name's on it, but at the same time,
Yes.
it's
So, I mean, I've even a couple times contemplated switching the name to even more solidify Candace, it's not about you. But I don't know. It's just, it's been really neat. And I think it all comes back to the very first thing we talked about is let your ego die, be present and be where your feet, like, and then just surround yourself with some really good humans. And I swear life will just smack you in the face and be like, this is what it is. This is what life is, no matter where you're at, college, professional, high school, you're down at Gold's Gym. Like, I don't know. I think those are just big lessons that I've learned since starting the business, being at Mullen, stepping away from college. That's just made me a better mom and person. And that's my biggest job right now, Ron, is I'm a full-time mom. Sometimes I go to leave for work and I'm like, I just pulled an 8-hour day and wow. So I think it's made me be better for him. But because of him, I've also become a better leader and a coach because I see those people as someone else's kid now. Like, I remember Althoff said that one day, you'll know one day when you have a kid. And I just rolled my eyes, but he was so right. It changes your,
gotta, yeah, it 100% does. It 100% does. And again, that's part of that evolution, I think, that you just naturally, it's hard. It's so hard, especially young coaches that are listening right now. It's so hard when, like, you're okay sleeping on somebody's couch. You're okay moving across, like, it's an adventure, but like, it isn't an adventure when you have 3 kids and you're picking them up out of school and you're moving them there and they hate you for the first 6 months
yeah,
because they got no friends or whatever it might be. Like, those things are really challenging. And like you said, like, if your home team's not right, your business, whatever team you work with, like, that'll never be right if your home team's not right. And so I think that is the number one job. But when you do those things well, they bleed into each other. They make you a better parent. They make you a better coach. They make you a better business owner. And that's why you got to continue to invest in yourself, like you said. So yeah, that's well said. We end the show with some quick hitters here. So what's one mistake you see young coaches make?
I think, like I said earlier, caring what people think. Just be you, be at a place that will accept you for you. Of course, grow and change and develop. But at the end of the day, like if it's just not a fit, it's not a fit and go somewhere that is.
If you could shadow any coach or business leader, who would you shadow?
Oh my gosh. I would love to go shadow Kroenke for a day. He's the owner of the Nuggets and also like a soccer team, a pro football team. My husband works with them. And I'm just like, dude, this man amazes me. Like, it's wild to see his empire that he has built. And at the end of the day, like, he's such a good human. I don't personally know him, but from what I've heard from everybody, I don't know. He amazes me with what he's done.
Give me a book or resource that you've revisited it the most in your career.
In the past year and a half, it's been little kids' books, so we won't go there. Oh my gosh. Probably the one I keep going back to. What's the one where it talks about I'm having a brain fart? This is the mom brain coming out, having the right people in the right seat on the bus.
It's
Oh my gosh, it's such a simple book, and I'm having a mom moment right now, Ron. I
yeah.
even told myself I was going to bring it and sit it down here because I knew a book question was happening.
Yeah, I can't.
What is that book?
I know exactly the book you're talking about. I can't think of it either.
If
So it's not the energy bus. It's not
The
the
energy bus, it's definitely the energy bus. There
is
we
it the energy
go.
bus?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that one just builds you on. Okay, the fact that I don't remember the name right now does not mean any less of the book. Just so for any listeners, it's just simply a mom moment. But no, I think that book is so great about how to hire people, even if you hire someone and they're not working out in the current spot, just maybe they're doing the wrong thing. Maybe like, so I don't know. I think it's such a great book. And I read it when I was in grad school, and it's just been something that I even made some of our football players read.
What's the best way for people to stay up with you and the things that you got and learning more about Wall's performance?
Probably social media. I've definitely been told I have to create an account for Wall's Performance. And I was like, I'll just morph my personal one into that. So I'd probably say social media. And for anybody that's reached out, there's a couple people because you just said that. I'm like, I got to message them back. DMing me is good. I'll give you my number. Sometimes, like, I have my mom moments and I'll get in touch with you at the end of the day. It's definitely not an ego thing. It's simply like
Stand up.
laying my hours out and then forgetting. But I would say social media would be the best way. I've definitely tried to promote our kids a lot and promote our staff a lot. It's not about me anymore. That's why I'm not in a lot of them. But cool moments like that allow me to kind of get out and talk. And I think that's what some older coaches and vetted coaches can do because it can just help the next group of people. So I appreciate you for having me on this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, it's easy to see why you've been successful in the business realm now, as well as coaching, and just somebody that I've always connected with. You, Klaus, just a great family, and just what you guys are doing and how you're doing it. I really respect and appreciate you being here.
Oh my gosh, no, thanks for having me. I know Klaus is like, he called you and not me. I was like, Ron will call you eventually, Klaus. Let me have this one. So thank you. I appreciate it.